Okay, so I'm with Stewart this morning, who's also a British expat here, and he has a lovely mountain retreat here in Higashi Agano, and we're in the garden where you make yuzu jam.
Yes, so we've got some yuzu, some quite mature yuzu trees in the garden.
Right.
Just a bit up here.
Okay.
So we're going to go up there and have a look.
Fabulous. So tell us a little bit about yuzu, Stewart, because I know you're very active in the culinary arts here. And,
well, I describe yuzu as kind of halfway between like a lemon and a grapefruit in flavour. And at first, I just used to cut them in half and put them in the bath. And then you get this lovely citrus smell when you're having a bath.
Right.
And I slowly learned how to cook with them.
Yeah.
Because you find them in local spices that you might sprinkle on things like noodles. Things like that. So I guessed that you could use them to make marmalade. And since I've got them here, that's what we decided to try.
Fantastic. Let's go and have a look. So I've just had some of this lovely yuzu marmalade on my toast this morning here, and it was really good. And you make the point as well of not adding too much sugar to it. And
yes, yeah, absolutely.
Letting the fruit speak for itself.
Yeah, if you make it yourself, you can control the amount of sugar. So that marmalade was 75% yuzu, 75% fruit and 25% sugar. And I also use tensai sugar, so beet sugar, not cane sugar, which is what I grew up with in England.
Yes.
Now, you see right at the top of those,
I can indeed.
those
fabulous.
beautiful yellow fruits.
Yeah.
That's the yuzu tree up there.
That's lovely, isn't it, in the sunlight?
Yes.
So how do you get them down?
Those we don't.
Right.
We leave them. We'll see what else we've got lower down.
Yeah.
They're too high up, I'm afraid.
Yeah. Do you never give the tree a good shake?
Yuzu trees have got thorns.
So it's not that easy.
Yeah, which saves the fruit from the monkeys.
Monkeys like us humans trying to make jam.
Well, they like fruit.
Yeah.
Yes. Aren't any lower down here. Oh, here we are.
Yeah, you can see the yuzu there.
These ones here I can get to when I have a ladder.
Right.
You come round. You can see on this side.
Oh yes,
Even there, and then all the way up this side.
Right.
So those we can get to.
Yeah. That's fantastic.
You see how...
They're a good size, aren't they, those?
Oh yeah, they're now, and they're nice and juicy.
Yeah.
They're absolutely perfect for making jam.
Yeah.
Let's see.
So we're here at a lovely time of year. We're just here in what would in the UK be late autumn, but it's actually...
Ow.
Oh, be careful.
As I said, they've got, look at that, look at the thorn.
I guess you need thick gloves. You alright?
Yeah, I got up into them.
Yeah.
Oh, that's not the right branch. There they are there. With that one. Yeah, I'll be able to get those later. Right. So the 4 jars of jam, 4 jars of marmalade came from 10 of these.
Wow, okay.
Because the skin on them is quite thick.
Yeah.
You're actually using almost all of the fruit.
Yeah.
When you actually make the jam. So you peel the skin off.
Yeah.
Soak the skin.
Yeah.
Which softens it.
So that's a key part.
I think, yeah. And then you slice the skin up into the size you want for your choice for marmalade.
Yeah.
If you like it thin, do it thin.
Yeah.
And then just put that in the pan with the sugar, 25% sugar, and boil it for 10 minutes.
Right.
And I sprinkle on some agar powder so that will actually make sure it thickens a bit more.
Yeah.
There.
Yeah.
But after 10 minutes it goes nice and glossy and shiny, and you know you've got your yuzu ready.
Yeah.
So I said 4 jars about that big.
Yeah.
Will make 10 fruits.
Fabulous.
It's very nice.
Yeah.
Absolutely perfect on toast in the morning.
Yeah. And you've also been making apple crumble here with local apples.
Yes, and the rhubarb.
And the rhubarb, which you grow here too.
Grow the rhubarb, and there's
Yeah.
also an organic farmer over that way
Yeah.
who has his own rhubarb as well. So when I wanted 10 kilos.
Yeah.
So I asked him,
Yeah.
and he was happy to supply it
Yeah.
there. So
That's
yes, and growing as much as I can from the garden. So in summer, particularly salads,
Yeah.
because being able to just walk out of the house and pick the tomatoes and the
Yeah.
lettuce and the
Yeah.
cucumber straight off the plant and then
Yeah.
eat it instantly
Yeah.
does make the flavour a lot better.
Yeah. Yeah. And I guess it's more satisfying as well. Just kind
Yes,
of eating
especially,
directly
I mean,
from the
this year I
land.
grew the tomatoes. They were a heritage
Right.
brand
Yeah.
or a heritage species, and I grew them from seed.
Right. Yeah.
Because over that way,
Yeah.
there's a heritage seed seller called Noguchi,
Okay.
and they sell organic, imported, and heritage
Yes.
seeds of all kinds.
Okay. Yeah.
So,
Fabulous. So what else have you got here? I noticed that there was some lettuce down there, and
we grow lettuce, not now because it's November,
Yeah.
but right now in the garden we've got Chinese cabbage, we've got some daikon,
oh yes.
so the big white radishes,
Yep.
and there's onion seedlings. Now those onions are for
Yeah.
next year,
Right.
so they'll be ready in the rainy season
Yeah.
next year. So
Right.
that's when they'll come up. But I've planted red onions because they're a bit more difficult to get, and they're
Yeah.
better in salads and a bit more expensive.
Yeah.
Ordinary onions are easy to
Yeah.
get.
Yeah.
Red onions are a bit harder.
Are they just as easy to grow?
Yes. Yeah, they're the onion family, so they're very easy to grow. Yes, yeah.
That's
Later
great.
on, I mean, I'll plant the usual things like eggplant
Yeah.
and stuff next year. The eggplant, any of that type from
Yeah.
those families works well. It
Yeah.
grows well here.
Yeah.
So the eggplant and the tomatoes are both deadly nightshade family,
Right.
and they seem to be very, very happy.
Mm-hmm.
There are some things I can grow, but if I grow them, the wildlife steals them all.
Yeah.
Like the local tanuki adore pumpkin. So
What's tanuki?
raccoon dogs,
The raccoon dogs. Right.
they adore pumpkin, and once they've discovered I've got some, the whole crop disappears in
Wow.
like 2 nights. And I
Word,
find bits
yeah.
of them all over the garden with teeth
Yeah.
marks in.
Word gets out.
Yeah, I mean bits left
Goodness.
behind. I mean there's never any substantial piece of pumpkin left.
Goodness.
But I feed the whole
Yeah.
neighbourhood for a few days. And
Yeah.
once they've found I've got them, so it's not worth it. I don't want to go to the expense of putting up pest-proof fencing.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
a chore. I'd
Yeah.
rather grow things that they don't want,
Yep.
that I want.
Yeah.
So salads are perfect.
Yeah.
Not least here, the tomatoes and the cucumbers,
Yeah.
the goya. Those things are
Yeah.
all on vines,
Yeah.
so they can't get to them.
That's actually a really refreshing perspective on farming, is to be in line with nature and the local creatures, and just not to farm what they might want.
Yes.
And that way everyone's kind of happy in a sense and harmonious.
I also think it's being kind to them, because
Yeah.
if they become dependent on or get the habit of eating from vegetable gardens,
Yeah.
one, they're going to become a pest and people will take action against them, and two, you're taking them away from what they should be eating in the
Yes.
forest.
That's right. Yeah.
I mean, there's a massive forest here. They should be foraging in the forest, not
Yeah.
raiding vegetable
Yeah.
gardens.
Have you had any other interesting creatures here other than the raccoon dog?
We've had deer in the garden. There's a type of deer, the English name, no, it's not a deer, it's an antelope. The English name for it is a SEROW, SEROW, which I had to look up
Right.
because I'd never heard of
Yeah.
it.
They're common in North Japan, aren't they?
Well, they're common here as well.
Yes.
I've actually, when I've been doing a cooking class in the living room,
Yeah.
students have looked up and there's been one in the
Wow.
vegetable garden down there looking at us through the glass.
Oh, how lovely.
And they're solitary, whereas normal deer travel in families. They live alone,
Right.
and so they wander about. So we've had them in daylight.
Yeah.
Normal deer are only out at night. We've also had wild pigs in the garden. So I drove in once and there was a family, lots of little wild piglets screaming and running away. So I wasn't getting out of the car until I was sure Mother wasn't around and annoyed with me for scaring her babies.
Yeah.
I've found snakes, large snakes. There aren't really, there's only one poisonous snake, and they're not rare. So the snakes you're likely to find in the garden of the boa constrictor type.
Gosh.
And they're not a risk to humans.
Right.
Though they are great hunters of rodents.
Aren't they the ones that rear their heads at humans?
Oh, they will do. Yeah, when I picked up the rock that it was hiding under, it wasn't happy with me.
Wow.
But they've got no ability to kill by poison, so they just went off.
Do they bite?
No, they don't tend to bite. They crush. They seize and crush.
Oh yes, of course. Yeah.
And then they swallow. The thing with them is, of course, they're snakes, so they're not that bright. So they tend to sunbathe on the road, and you run over them.
Yeah.
Because from any distance, it looks like a stick lying on the road, and you drive on, and it's only seconds before you run over them, you realise it's a snake.
Yeah.
And they're happily warming themselves in the sun, and then they get crushed. Yes.
Goodness. Do they have in a way a slow reaction time, the boa constrictors, because of their like crushing nature? They're not necessarily going to attack with the fangs.
And they're quite big.